Hello, my name is Paul Kent Robertson. I'm the co-founder of Contagious, and I'm delighted to be joined by Rajamannar, the Chief Marketing Officer of Mastercard and author of the new book, Quantum Marketing, Mastering the New Marketing Mindset for Tomorrow's Consumers, which is published by HarperCollins Leadership. So in the book, Raja shares breakthrough frontier strategies to navigate the challenges that marketers face in order to thrive in a modern business world that is changing with unprecedented speed and disruption. As we're going to discover, I think Raja believes that we're on the brink of a revolution in how marketing is defined and executed, and that even the very notion of brand itself will require a complete reimagination. So welcome, Raja, and thank you for giving Contagious your time for this interview.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for having me on this show. And delighted to be here and share a few of my thoughts.
Thank you. So the first question, before we even get onto the book, is how are you and how are you feeling right now?
Doing very good, actually. Thankfully, I have discovered a new dimension to life, which is that you can, after all, survive from home very successfully for more than 1 year. Yeah. So I have been in lockdown mode all this 1 year. It's been very productive. It was great spending time with my family, with my dogs in particular, going for short walks. It's been brilliant. Honestly, I think I feel very blessed. On the one hand, that we have not been touched by COVID so far. Okay. The vaccines are just around the corner, so that's very reassuring as well. But no complaints at all.
Good. Well, it's a nice positive note to start. So in terms of the book, I love the big bold hyperbole in the blurb for the book. I think it's very compelling as a pitch for people's attention. It says almost everything about marketing, about how marketing is done today, including the very notion of brand itself, is going to require a complete imagination. So you're not mucking around. And I can see that my Contagious client, Ivan Pollard at General Mills, has said that this book will do to our view of marketing what Copernicus's book did to our view of the world. It will change it forever. So that's very, very high praise indeed. So the implication within the book is that we're entering a revolutionary fifth paradigm of marketing. So could you please expand on that, and whether when you talk about quantum, is that a leap or is it about interaction?
So I'll take those as two questions, and I'll first answer the fifth paradigm, and then I'll come to the term quantum itself, right? So, marketing has been around forever, since antiquity. When people actually went into the ruins of Pompeii, they found evidence of advertisements, which were actually very carefully chosen as to where they would be placed. So there was some sense of targeting and location-based marketing in a very rudimentary form, as way back as during the days of Pompeii. Since then, marketing has been evolving continuously. But each time, there are a couple of technologies which come along. It revolutionizes marketing in a big way. It takes it to the next level. So in the initial days, the whole premise, which I call is the first paradigm of marketing, was that you create a fantastic product better than anybody else, give it a nice packaging, price it in a way that it is giving the right value to the consumers, make it available everywhere, easily accessible. Your product will be golden. People will buy up your product. Why? Because they're, after all, logical and rational in their thinking and decision making. So why would they not want to take the best product at the right price, available next door to you, and in a great packaging? That paradigm actually was the longest serving paradigm that we had in the world of marketing. Then marketers discovered that there is something called psychology, sociology, anthropology, and they found out actually that, people don't decide logically, or they don't act rationally. They are people, they are beings full of feelings. They are actually emotional, and their decisions are guided and led and driven by emotions and feelings, and not by logic, not by intellect, not by information. When you ask people, they of course tell you, yeah, I had all the right information, but that's more like post-rationalization. But what in reality happens, it's the emotion which nudges you to make the purchase or whatever else it is. That was the beginning of paradigm 2, which was the second paradigm, all about emotional marketing. So much so that people could only use emotions even to the exclusion of the product. Mastercard is a classical example of that, which is when you look at Mastercard's campaign of Priceless, the way we started is we show a father and a son going to a baseball game. And the caption goes, price of the ticket, so many dollars, price of soda, so many dollars, price of autographed ball, so many dollars. But the time spent with your 11-year-old son, priceless. There are certain things in life that are truly priceless. They are the things which matter. For everything else, there is Mastercard. You're almost relegating Mastercard into the backdrop and subordinating it to everything else. Very contrarian in its approach. But it was an instant hit. And even after 24 years of being launched, it's still going strong. Right? That tells you that it is connected and touched the right nerve center. So emotions play a dominant role. That was paradigm 2. Then in mid-1990s, marketing was ushered into the third paradigm. That was by 2 technologies. But before that, paradigm 2 got the emotional marketing got its real boost when you could tell the stories in a very powerful way. And 2 technologies enabled that. One is radio, the other one is television. Now, when you came to paradigm 3, it was 2 more technologies. One is internet, which changed our world forever. The second one was data analytics. Data was always seen to be in the purview of the scientists and the economists and the geeks and the nerds. But marketers suddenly discovered that data can be hugely meaningful, hugely powerful, whether it is for precision targeting or for optimizing the mix or for measuring the return on your investments. So that ushered in paradigm 3. In 2007 came 2 more technologies, breakthrough technologies. One was the birth of iPhone, which sort of ushered in the era of mobile connected devices, which today have literally become like an extended part of our human bodies. That's number 1. Number 2, social media. That was the year when Facebook actually scaled. The combination of the social media platforms together with the mobile devices that were connected was fantastic. And that really drove marketing into the 4th paradigm. Now, if you see, it was 2 technologies in each of the preceding paradigms. But now we are at the verge of being disrupted by more than 24 technologies, like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. There are a whole bunch of realities that called extended reality, mixed reality, etc. Then you got blockchains, you got autonomous cars, Internet of Things, smart speakers, wearables, 3D printing, 5G telecom. It's like in a completely new Star Wars kind of a world that we are about to enter. And it is not some fantasy or some futuristic thing. We are already in the cusp of the 4th and the 5th paradigms, ushered in by these 24 technologies. Just imagine if 2 technologies in the past have brought in so much of disruption, what can 24 technologies do? So that is going to be a brave, strange new world that we have to deal with. Now that brings me to quantum marketing. In the world of physics, physics is the science with which you try to understand the phenomena around you in the physical world. You have got things like law of gravity or laws of motion. You've got electricity, magnetism, and so on. Classical physics worked brilliantly for centuries. But then when science has advanced, technology has advanced to a stage where mankind could peer into the outer space, or they could look inside of subatomic particles, or they could track and see objects which are moving very fast, approaching speed of light. Classical physics just could not deal with those realities. And a new field of physics was born, which is quantum physics. So quantum physics explained all these phenomena, which now today, it forms the basis for a lot of our understanding and a lot of our deployment of science and technology. In pretty much the same way, with the advent of the 5th paradigm, marketing, the way we practiced it all along, the theories, the frameworks that we had, which is the classical marketing, is going to be miserably failing. You need to reimagine marketing for this new world, and that is quantum marketing. So quantum marketing is to marketing what quantum physics is to physics. It's also, in some sense, a quantum leap forward. And therefore, I thought this was the most appropriate way of bringing together the title of the book as quantum marketing.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And obviously, it could only have been written now. This is a 2021 and forward book in terms of the alignment of new technologies, as you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so now outside of your day job, you're on the board of the Ad Council. You're the current president of the World Federation of Advertisers. Just a bit of disclosure, Contagious is the WFA's strategic partner for creativity. But so from your knowledge and experience of the marketing industry in general, do you think that sort of collectively there's enough of a transformational mindset within the business to successfully manage the radical transition that you're calling for? Can we do it?
The hunger for transformation is definitely there in the world of business.
Yeah.
There is no question about it. CEOs and CFOs have to report the results so frequently, and competition is so brutal that they need help. They are looking for solutions, right? However, I would dare to say this, which is that marketers have not lived up to that.
Okay.
In fact, marketers were not able to even justify their seat at the table. When recent surveys have revealed that more than 70% of all CEOs have said that they don't have any confidence in their CMOs or in their marketing departments, that is unfortunate.
Yes.
Second, as a result of which probably many companies have started bringing in a new breed of C-suite executives like Chief Revenue Officer, Chief Customer Officer, Chief Growth Officer. Now, if you are having revenue, customer, and growth taken away from marketing, what is marketing left with? Right? And that's a sad state of affairs. And marketing is being fragmented. In the old world, as in just a few years back, we used to talk about marketing having the 4 Ps propounded by Philip Kotler, who I consider as my guru, literally. Okay. Now, these 4 Ps, today, if you look at them, product is not being managed by marketing in most of the cases.
Okay.
Pricing is not managed by marketing. Place, which is distribution, is not being managed by marketing. Only promotions, and that to a part of it, which is thematic promotions and those broad brand campaigns. Those are the kind of things which marketing is doing, which unfortunately the hard-nosed business people, they consider it as fluffy.
Right.
So marketing therefore is losing its seat, and we are in an existential crisis. And the image of marketing externally is also terrible. People, if you ask a normal man or a woman on the street, they think that marketing is a con game. Right. Or it's all about deception.
Yes.
And it's all about selling things that you don't need. That's a wrong perception, unfortunately. And even in schools, there was a study that was done by ANA amongst school students, college students rather. And they said that they rate marketing as, if you look at the preferred fields, they rate marketing below nursing and accounting. Below accounting. I have nothing against accounting, but just imagine if people are thinking that marketing rates even below accounting. We have a complete crisis as far as marketing is concerned, unfortunately. Yes. More and more CMOs are seeing this. Okay. And collectively as a body, we want to bring about a difference. We want to bring about a change, a transformation within marketing itself. And that's what I work with at WFA, trying to see how we can, on the one hand, marketing, how we can help marketers do better marketing, how can we equip them. So we do a lot of thought leadership pieces, we do a lot of training. We bring people together, to connect with each other and then learn and come up the curve. We create common policies and work with the regulators to make sure that the field of marketing is enabled to be able to practice marketing while it is completely fair to the consumers, to also be pragmatic for businesses and marketers and so on. So there's a whole bunch of work effort. But we are in a precarious situation, and particularly with the 5th paradigm coming in, it will be even more so. So there is a real crying need for us to bring about transformation in marketing rapidly and today.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is this, as you've touched on it, there's an ongoing debate at conferences, the trade press and so on, like questioning marketing's status in the boardroom. Whether the marketer genuinely has the ear of the CEO or, to allude to what you just said, is seen as the boss of the coloring in department. And I think it sounds very patronizing on a surface level, but in reality, there are certain businesses where the CMO role has been eliminated, or as you say, displaced. So in the book, you talk about the needing a redefinition of marketing's role in business and reestablishing its relevance while also expanding its impact. So what's your kind of steps, your toolkit or your advice in terms of how do we achieve this, within how do you get the marketing CMO role kind of more kind of credibility and status, I guess?
See, I worked in multiple companies throughout my career. marketing was defined and understood very differently from company to company.
Mm.
And in talking to my peers at various companies, again, marketing is perceived to be doing different things. In some cases, public relations is marketing, and that's all they do. In some cases, sales is marketing, or in some cases, marketing department is like glorified order takers.
Right.
Everyone tells them what to do and pretty up things, organize events, and in some sad cases, even to fix lunches and dinners. Right? That there is a need for the world to be taught on what marketing is. But to do that, as marketers, we need to be crystal clear on what marketing is and what it does. So, for example, at Mastercard, we have created a clear framework for what marketing is and what it does. So we said, for example, marketing will be having 3 pillars. Pillar number 1 is about building, protecting, and nurturing our brand.
Nice.
Okay, brand is very critical, and that's very, very important. Number 2, marketing will be a force multiplier for our business. It will fuel the growth of our business, from insights to lead generation, to creating value propositions for our customers and consumers, to actually running campaigns, to measuring performance and looping the whole thing back.
Right.
So we're talking about marketing actually being a core of the business and not a fluffy function that sits on the side and does some pretty things. Number 3, marketing will create platforms for a sustainable competitive advantage for the company.
Right. Okay.
These are platforms which will actually create a moat, if you were, around the company that'll be very difficult for somebody else to replicate and copy. Now, we said these are the 3 things that marketing does. Now, I had to start with educating my own team.
Okay.
Get their emotional buy-in, get them embrace it, because they are the biggest brand ambassadors for marketing.
Yeah, totally.
And then go and socialize it with my peers on the C-suite. And then I had to actually do seminars, and I would speak at various forums in the company and say, this is what marketing is, and this is what we will do. This is what our goals are. This is where we will actually lead the company into, etc. Once people get it, they respect it, they support you.
Got you.
No, I keep telling my peers, you should do it. In some cases, depending on the mindsets and the level of sophistication of evolution of marketing in those organizations, you might need external help. So, for example, just yesterday, I went to one of the other companies because their CMO actually requested me, saying that, Raja, can I actually come and share this? Because if I say the same thing, probably there is not the same level of credibility as opposed to somebody coming from outside and saying. So the truth from outside always is more truthful than the truth from within. Unfortunately, that's reality. So I said, I'll be very happy to. So I actually did a seminar literally for them to try and tell them what is marketing, what should marketing be doing, why is marketing so important. On this point, I'll just take a second. Tomorrow, in the 5th paradigm, when technology and data are going to be so prevalent, they democratize the field of competition completely. A tiny player does not have to invest in big capital, for either technology or for data, because you have got services to whom you pay as you go. So in that kind of a situation, even a tiny company will be able to compete with a giant on equal footing, which means there is going to be even more brutal competition. And if you think today if competition is intense, you haven't even seen anything how it's going to be tomorrow. That is the time when companies need marketing more than ever to differentiate and to succeed and to thrive. So marketing's relevance and importance will be mighty critical. It will be paramount tomorrow. We need to prepare for it from today. So you need to educate the CEOs about it. You need to educate the CMOs about it. And part of my effort of writing this book was to actually bring about a little bit of organization and organized thinking to that whole chaos, and to write a new playbook for the 5th paradigm, because existing ways of marketing or even marketing are just not going to work.
Right, got you. So what do you think the job description for a CMO in the next few years is going to look like?
See, CMO in an ideal world will be like are we good?
We're good, yes. So I mean, from a CMO also, maybe further down the ladder, it's like what kind of, so that I guess I'm interested to know what you think a job description for a CMO will be at board level, but then equally what kind of skills, both practical, professional, and emotional, a marketer is going to require to get them through this sort of revolution?
So firstly, a CMO or a marketing person will be more a general manager as opposed to a functional specialist. They will be multi-talented or multifaceted, because tomorrow or even today, to succeed as a marketer, you need to understand data.
Yeah.
Without data, you are operating like a dinosaur. You need to understand technology. Without that, you'll become obsolete in a heartbeat. You need to understand finance, because unless you know how your business makes money and what are the drivers of profitability, etc., you will be doing marketing for marketing's sake. You will not be able to connect the dots between marketing actions and business outcomes. So you need to understand finance, business finance extremely well. You need to understand communications, which is public relations. In the old days, marketing was one department, public relations was one department. But in reality, both are continuum, one single continuum. Yeah. So you need to collapse both into one, which is what many of the companies, including Mastercard, have done, which is to get both marketing and communications into one integrated function. Now, unless you know how to do PR, how will you manage that kind of an area? So you need to equip yourself with that. You need to also be able to really, get into areas about, when you're in a C-suite, you're no longer representing just your function, you're representing the company. And you're ideating, you're giving your thoughts and opinions. So you behave like a true general manager. You're a business manager first, and a functional manager next, or a functional specialist next. That is the mindset with which you have to go, number one. Number two, you need to have a learning agility. In normal times, things are changing. In these times, things are not just changing, but they are totally transforming.
Yeah.
And the rate at which the transformation is happening, unless you put conscious effort and dedicate time to learn, you will not be able to get your head around it. Like I said, 24 technologies are coming. Today, you ask many CMOs, ask them to put their hand on their heart and tell me, do they understand exactly what happens in programmatic? Do they understand programmatic? Programmatic is from the previous paradigm. It's not even of current paradigm. People are struggling. Yeah. Do you understand what are blockchains and what's the application of blockchains in marketing space? Do you understand artificial intelligence, or is it just a buzzword that you drop, or when somebody asks, you meaningfully nod your head, but you have no clue of what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, what is deep learning, or whatever else it is. Yeah. The point is, you have to educate. So the first thing which I'll tell all the marketers, starting with CMOs, is to say that learn, invest time in learning. Now, I spend 5 hours every single weekend trying to learn something, because it's critical. I registered for a Coursera program on AI. I completed that. I take master classes. I read up. This is not for entertainment. This is learning for survival, learning for success, learning to thrive. It's very critical. I'll start there. Number two, not all of us is blessed with aptitude across all areas. We are not each one individually Leonardo da Vinci. If we are, God bless us. But many of us are not. In which case, surround yourself with people from different specialities, or people who are more general managers under you, around you, so that as a team, you are a Leonardo da Vinci team. You may not be a Leonardo da Vinci CMO, but you're a Leonardo da Vinci marketing team. That's very important. That's number two. Number three, start preparing for this today. Start experimenting and learning what is AI, and how do we actually do some pilots to get a grasp of how these concepts work. These are not expensive at all. So I would say there has to be a bias for action, and then move very quickly. And most importantly, in the face of this data and technology, don't forget that it is creativity, creative excellence, innovation, which are going to differentiate your brand and your company from anybody else. So please make sure that you don't lose that. Yes. Okay, that is going to be the biggest differentiator for tomorrow, when everything is democratized and the competitive field is leveled. Yes. So I would say this is how you approach it.
Great, because the way you've described it, I mean, fifth paradigm marketing job, it's fascinating. It's incredibly challenging. You're at the forefront of everything on the frontier. So I would imagine it's going to start moving up that scale, like way past accountants and so on. So
hopefully, yeah, it's very inspiring. There's no better time to be in marketing than today. When I graduated 36 years back from my management school in India, marketing was the #1 field where people would love to go and join. But today, When you say it is below accounting and nursing, that's a sad state of affairs. We need to bring back the gravitas, the glory of marketing, and regain our seat at the table.
Yes, which is a good challenge. So I think, you've alluded to this, like we're in an era where, you said there's a grasp of data, analytical rigor is vital, technology is a force multiplier for marketing. I like that thought. But is there still room for gut instincts as a marketer?
Totally, absolutely. See, it's like this. I would say that understanding and deployment of technology and data are necessary, but not sufficient.
Right.
The sufficiency is brought in by the creativity, by innovation, by intuition, by gut, by judgment, by wisdom.
Yeah,
those are very critical. The soft skills might be critical,
yes,
because people are still human beings. They are emotional. They are full of feelings. And there are different things which either propel them to action or they tick them off. You need to understand. So don't stop being a wonderful classical marketer. You need those skills for sure.
yes.
But what I'm saying is complement them with these new age aspects which are critical. If you don't get these new age aspects, you will get decimated or obsolete.
Yeah.
But when you get these new age concepts in, don't let go, because this original, that things that you do as a classical marketing are critical. Psychology, sociology, neurology, anthropology, behavioral economics. These are the things. And of course, the creativity with your agency that you create or in-house you create, whichever way it is, the creative excellence. Yeah. That is what will stand your brand and your company apart and ahead.
Absolutely. What would your definition of creativity be then, in sort of fifth paradigm creativity? What is that in a nutshell?
I would say something which immediately grabs the attention of the consumer, appeals to their system one thinking or primal brain, connects very deeply, and it moves them. It touches them in some fashion. It moves them towards your brand. That whatever it takes to get there, while respecting consumers' privacy, while not being manipulative, while not being deceptive. That's what is important. That's fifth paradigm creativity.
Excellent, good. So I'm going to ask you one sort of philosophical question, slightly provocative, and then we'll dive into a couple of more sort of practical questions around the book. But I think that from looking at it and looking at the comments, I think that your book has the potential to be polarizing, because there can be loads of people that feel you're preaching the gospel of the future, because I think that the book is very optimistic. A lot of people say this is the best thing since sliced bread, this is my manifesto. But there could be a sort of counter argument from some who might say disagree with the hypothesis that marketing will change because technology has changed, because fundamentally humans are still humans. I think there was that famous Bill Bernbach quote where he said it took millions of years for it took millions of years for man's instincts to develop. It will take millions more for them to even vary. So it's fashionable to talk about changing man, but a communicator must be concerned with unchanging man, with his obsessive drive to survive, to be admired, succeed, love, to take care of his own. So he's talking about humankind there. So what's your perspective on that? Have we changed sufficiently as humans to be, kind of relevant for fifth marketing?
That's a beautiful question. And I have been asked about it 1,000 times. So let me tell you what my whole approach to that is, right? See, when you look at the fundamental aspects of human being, at the core, we are human beings still.
Yes.
There are some principles, some aspects of us that are always there. But the way they manifest, the way you realize them, the way you express them, they change with times, they change with context. Some of this context is developed by technology. Some of this context happens with cultural shifts that are happening around, with or without technology. So the key thing is man, or mankind, I would say, is not static. They're evolving, right? And if you say, for example, do people have love? Absolutely, yes. Do people think about women as being subordinate to men? They used to think not too far back, in many cultures.
Yes. Has
that thinking changed? Or are we still living in the dark ages where we think that women are inferior to men and their place is at man's feet? That is change happening in a short few decades. Unfortunately, it prevailed for so long. But okay, likewise, you take some of the things, right? Racial bias. Is it true? Let's look at it this way. Slavery was being practiced not too long back.
Right.
And today, if somebody talks of slavery, you know what happened? They said this person is barbaric. What is he or she talking about? Slavery in this day and age? Now, the key thing is, then if that universal inclusion or inclusivity has come about, then how come there are these racial tensions? So that's where I say some of those basics are basic biases, basic perceptions, and basic frameworks people have got. They keep changing with time.
Yes. Okay.
So unfortunately, some of those biases are very prevalent even today. In the USA, it could be Black Lives Matter. In a country like India, there used to be a concept called untouchables.
Yeah.
And if an untouchable crosses your path, you're supposed to go and have a bath to purify yourself. Well, how ridiculous can it be?
Yeah.
Has it changed? Of course, yes. So the point is, but have the biases gone completely away? No, they are there. They are remnants of it. In some cases, they're only remnants. In some cases, they are deep undercurrents. So my point, what I'm trying to say is that change is happening constantly. So I would not say that it'll take a million years for people to change. Secondly, did you ever connect with your school friends before internet came? 30, 40 years or 20 years after you have graduated. No, suddenly people are coming out of the woodworks, and thanks to social media and these mobile devices, you are onto WhatsApp, you are onto Signal, you are onto Facebook, you are onto emails. Now, when those things have come, have people's behaviors changed or not?
Right.
It absolutely has changed, right? When people had no cars, no automobiles, and they used to use either horse-drawn carriages, or they used to walk or run or whatever it is there. From then to today, have people's lives changed? Absolutely. So marketing has to be connecting with people, not just at their very fundamental makeup, but also in terms of their daily living, their lifestyles, what happens, right? So from that perspective, if you are sticking to the principles and the concepts, but not bringing it into my current reality as a consumer, you have lost me.
Right.
So it's critical for marketers to be in. I'd say you have to connect with the consumers and influence them in favor of your brand. If you don't even know how to connect, what are you going to influence? Right. So I hope you get the drift of the whole thing.
Yes,
what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah, because I think there are some fundamentals that will never change, like love and desire and appeal and wanting protection or nurturing or comfort or appetite. But you're saying that's still very relevant for marketing. But it's the new technologies and the implementation. It's almost there that the pipes of marketing have changed, but some of the fundamental principles haven't.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, good. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. So just onto some more kind of practical, pragmatic stuff now. I love within the book, you're sort of saying that loyalty is almost like it's a marketing misnomer now, like the infamous parrot in the Monty Python sketch. Is the idea of retention or loyalty dead, expired, and gone to meet its maker?
See, I would say that loyalty as we define it is pretty much dead. It has to evolve. It has to be reimagined, right? Like I gave the example in my book, or the specific instance in my book. When I read the article on bbc.com, that nearly 70% of people in a relationship have admitted to cheating on their spouses. That made me really sit back, not from a judgmental point of view. I'm not here to pass any value judgment on anybody.
Right.
But as a marketer, that pricked my curiosity. I said, look, if people in their real lives, in their relationships, when they know they have made a commitment implicitly or explicitly, and when they know that they have consequences of not being loyal, if they're caught, there is a financial damage, there is a reputational damage, there is an emotional damage to people they care about, etc. In spite of making commitments and knowing the consequences, people are not loyal.
Right.
Now, as brand owners, as marketers, are we stupid to expect people to be loyal to our brands, which features so low in people's hierarchy, honestly? In everything that happens in people's lives, the brands, they're just commercial. They're so low in the hierarchy. And we are kidding ourselves and spinning our own fantasy to say that, oh, people will be very loyal to us and let's run these loyalty programs. Now, take my own example, right? Airlines. I'm a member of multiple airline loyalty programs. I'm in Delta, I'm on American Airlines, I'm on Emirates Airlines, and I'm on United Airlines. 4 airlines right there. If you look at shopping, I'm there with Walmart, I'm there, which is Sam's Club, I'm there with Amazon, I'm with what do you call, Kroger's.
Yes.
It's a multiplicity of these. Then I've got hotels, multiple memberships of loyalty program. These are not loyalty programs. They are just something. It's a new incentive program.
Yeah.
Beyond an incentive, it is nothing else. And that incentive might motivate you to do something at that point in time. So instead of taking this, I'll take that. But incentive comes way down in your priority of decision makers. So therefore, but as a marketing community, we spend hundreds of billions of dollars. I'm talking billions, not millions. Right. Hundreds of billions of dollars annually on loyalty programs. And I said, why does it make sense?
They're almost like marriage of convenience. It's like a marriage of convenience. It's very functional, very transactional. There's not real much emotion there, is there?
You said it. You said it. So we need to reimagine. And for me, one of the frameworks that I've suggested, it's not the only framework. There could be so many viable frameworks, but I actually suggested a framework saying we should look at something called preference management platforms.
Right. Okay.
Knowing the context of the consumer, what are the kinds of things that you can do to shift their preference towards your brand at every moment of truth? Meaning when the consumer is confronted to make a decision, that's a moment of truth. At that moment of truth, they should think about your brand. They should feel for your brand. They should move towards your brand. And nothing works much better than something which happens at that moment from the brand side. So how do you reach the consumer and communicate at that point in time when the consumer is about to make the decision in a non-intrusive, non-annoying, non-irritating fashion? Right. That is one way to actually look at it and achieve the results that you are looking for far better and far more economically.
Absolutely. Okay. So that leads me on to the next question quite nicely, I think, is I'd just like to get your thoughts on sort of hyper-personalized marketing. You're talking about marketing being powered with the aid of AI. So what do you think about hyper-personalized marketing?
First and foremost, it has to be respectful of consumers' privacy. If consumer wonders, how did this company know? And if there is a feeling of their privacy being invaded, that's awful. Right. It's really awful. On the other hand, if there is a level of personalization that the consumer is comfortable with, but it generates a tremendous level of relevance and value to the consumer, consumers will be absolutely fine with it. Right? Yeah. Now, for example, I'll tell you, I have, let's say I buy a car. When I'm buying a car, I do my search and all that. So I eventually go and I bought a car. I went and bought a car. Because I searched for cars and did some research online, they have flagged me somewhere that this guy is in the car market. There is no way to fill the loop, I guess, that I have already bought the car and now I'm no more interested in looking at the cars. But then the barrage of advertisements I keep seeing in my media, I said, these guys, they don't know what they're doing. They're wasting money because each of the impressions, they're paying money right to the platforms. And that is such a waste. Plus, to me, it's an annoyance. I said, I have seen these guys. Don't you know that? Yeah. Well, okay. Now, on the other hand, so this is one part of it. So the relevance of what you're serving me is very important. Secondly, in addition to relevance, I need to see value. So for example, I'm looking at a what do you call a meal plan for having vegan, healthy diet. So I want those prepared meals which are delivered to your home. You just heat and eat them when they come to you. So that's something I'm in the market and I'm looking at it. And if somebody serves me saying that, hey, here is a vegan plan that we think that might be truly appealing to you. And here is a special discount that we are giving you, which is first 1 week free or first 1 month free, whatever it is there is a value. So there is relevance, there is value. I'll appreciate that. Yeah. I won't think, oh, how do these guys know that I'm looking for a vegan plan? It also depends on the topic. If I'm looking at something, like for example, let's say I'm looking at services for somebody because their health is bad, okay, or they got some special needs and I'm doing some survey on the special needs. And then somebody comes and says, hey, here is something which we are actually, having. I might feel a little intruded upon because health, and talking or doing search about things like, special needs for your kids or for your family members, that's a little private. You don't want people to butt into it unless you give them permission to. So you don't feel good about it. So it's very contextually, it's very important. What topic, what value are you giving? How relevant is it to me?
Yeah.
And how respectful are you of my privacy? If you have these, personalization is fantastic.
Yeah, we did some work with RGA, the agency, recently. They've got this brand relationship design report that we did some events around, and one of the findings in that was that people, consumers, sort of will find sort of personalized targeting creepy up until the point where they've invested in that product or service, and then after that point, when they've become a customer and connected, they almost see a lack of personalization as a bit of an insult. The whole paradigm flips, and they expect personalized service, and they expect a brand to understand them and almost preempt their needs. So the whole relationship changes once you've made the investment.
That's another excellent lens to look at it from. And it's a great point that you make, and I totally buy it. So that's absolutely right? So we need to overlay all these layers of sensitivities from a consumer's point of view and their preferences. What is okay by them at which time and at which stage of their life cycle versus not. And marketers need to understand, be respectful of that, and be able to serve accordingly.
Absolutely. Good. So now you're a famous proponent of multi-sensory marketing. I remember seeing you at the WFA conference in Lisbon talking about sonic branding, which I loved. You talk about the power in the book, you talk about the power of immersive experiences, things like gamification to captivate consumers. So are you seeing that experience and sensory-based ideas are going to start displacing traditional advertising communication?
I think there will be a shift of funds. If the marketing pool is 100 and marketing pools are not growing up dramatically, right? Assuming that there's modest growth in marketing pool, I think there is definitely going to be a shift in the mix. I think advertising will actually see some of the money taken out of them and then being put into these other areas. I have done it myself, at Mastercard, where we took advertising money and then put it into experiential marketing.
Yeah,
that's bound to happen, because advertising today, if you look at it, and a lot of advertising people will be very upset with what I'm saying, but the reality is that as a consumer today, Paul, when I'm sitting in front of a screen, now I like watching Bollywood songs or animal videos or whatever I might want to. So I'm watching a Bollywood video. Suddenly, at the end of 3 minutes, the song gets stopped right in the middle.
Right.
And then an advertisement comes at me. It's very annoying and irritating. And I say, okay, I'm waiting for the skip now button to come up. The moment it comes, I click it. Sometimes it says, your video will continue after this advertisement has played. It ends at 10 seconds.
Yeah,
I use that as an opportunity to quickly look at my phone to see, have I got any messages? Is there any new mail? Is there something of that sort? I'm not paying attention to the screen. And now, to make my life miserable, I get 2 videos. It says 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. I have to skip twice to be able to watch. Now, in this day and age, when we as marketers say that consumer experience is critical, you need to give a seamless, frictionless, delightful experience to the consumers. And here we are actually destroying consumers' experience. Instead of adding to their experience, you are completely messing it up. You're introducing friction into their experience. That's terrible. So if as a normal consumer, this is what I'm feeling it. Now, when I put my hat as a marketer, it's a nightmare for me. I said, we got it wrong. We cannot just butt into the consumer's space and look at my ad, look at my ad, look at my ad. And I won't let you do what you're doing till you look at my ad. That's exactly what we are telling the consumer, right? I will not let you do what you're doing. You first listen to me, kind of a thing. That's rude. That's plain bad manners, right? Number one. Number two, look at the other thing. Consumers are putting ad blockers at scale. There are estimates that go anywhere between 600 million and 2 billion. These people are not available to us to advertise. That people are also paying money to be in ad-free environments. You talk of Amazon Prime, you talk of Hulu, not Hulu, Hulu Premium, you talk of YouTube Premium or YouTube Red, as it used to be called, or Netflix. These are all ad-free environments. So a lot of people's attention is going away to these kind of places where billions of hours are being watched, which is lost to the commercial advertisable space that is out there. Now, if consumers are speaking with their wallets, they're telling you, and with simple common sense as a consumer, you dislike this intensely, why would you want to hang on to the old model and say, no, I will make my ads. I have got a duty to tell you my story, whether you want to listen or not. If you don't naturally pay attention, I'll destroy your experience, come right into your face, and I will not let you do what you're doing till you see my ad. To be that strong.
Absolutely. Because I know Scott Galloway described so advertising is essentially becoming a tax on poor people because it's so easy to screen out now if you've got money. I remember, and when you talk about I remember talking to a creative, and she was saying that her son, her young son, basically heard her describing his mum's job as, oh yeah, mummy works in Skip Now.
In where?
In Skip Now, because on YouTube when an ad comes, it's Skip Now. And so she was saying that, she makes things that come after. So he would say, yeah, mummy works in Skip Now. But so just very briefly, I've got one more question, but just like, what's your definition of experiential marketing? So you're talking about like events, unique experiences, the whole sensory side of things. So maybe just give us some examples of what you think is the future.
So for me, when you are curating or creating experiences for consumers, that would make them happy, that will give them joy, that will delight them, that will surprise them in a good way. Essentially, you're creating something for them, which is being enabled and facilitated by your brand.
Yeah.
And they know that this experience that I got is because of this brand or from this brand.
Yeah.
The totality of this is experiential marketing. If you, as a brand, give beautiful experiences for consumers which they're delighted about, but they don't associate it with your brand, that's like philanthropy. Okay, you have just not accomplished anything from a marketing and a brand perspective.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you have curated and created an experience that is negative or neutral or mediocre or whatever, and that gets associated with your brand, you're in trouble.
Okay.
Because that image is absorbed onto your brand.
Right.
So what you need to do is to make sure that these are experiences that are unique to your brand and that they are delightful for the consumer. And when you do that at scale and in economical fashion, that is experiential marketing.
Great, thank you. So I've got one final question, and the answer will be short, hopefully. So I think James Swift, my colleague, is our sort of digital editor at Contagious. He asked you this question last year. We do something called the Genius Survey, which is an article in our magazine or online where we talk to very senior business leaders, academics, other luminaries in tech and so on. And we asked them this one question, which I'm going to repeat again to you this year, if you don't mind, because it has been a very unprecedented year since we spoke to you. So what would you say is the single biggest issue facing businesses over the next 12 months?
You're talking businesses or marketing?
Let's go for marketing. So for you as a CMO, what is the biggest challenge? What keeps you awake at night? I guess it's that question.
I would say for the next 1 year, it's the existential crisis by far.
Okay. And by existential crisis?
The roles getting eliminated, the function getting fragmented, the new C-suite roles getting created, like Chief Revenue Officer, Chief Growth Officer, Chief Customer Officer. And like I said, if you take away growth, revenue, and customers from marketing, what else is left in marketing? So for me, it is an existential crisis, and that's what keeps me awake at night.
Very powerful, thank you. And hence the book is a manifesto to help try and solve the existential crisis. So I'm looking at time is up. So Raja, I really want to thank you very, very much for sharing your wisdom, your insights, your expertise with us. So once again, everyone, Raja's book, Quantum Marketing, Mastering the New Marketing Mindset for Tomorrow's Consumers, is out now, published by HarperCollins Leadership. So Raja, it just leaves me to say, I wish you every success with the book. I'm really looking forward to the conversation and the debate that it will no doubt inspire. So good luck with that, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Absolutely, delighted to be on your show. Much appreciated the opportunity, and hopefully some of your readers, if not all, will go and buy the book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. It's available online or in physical. So thank you very much for your best wishes. And if any one of your viewers want to engage with me, they can do so on Twitter, on LinkedIn. It is Rajamannar, and I will get back to them very quickly. So thank you so much again for the opportunity, Paul, and look forward to speaking with you again soon.